And when we choose belief, we create the opportunity for him to do the thing that he does. After this, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. And a large crowd was following him because they saw the signs that he was doing on the sick. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. Now the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was at hand. Lifting up his eyes then, and seeing that a large crowd was coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread so that these people may eat?" He said this to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. And Philip answered, 200 denarii worth of bread would not be enough for each of them to get a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what are they for so many?" And Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, about 5,000 in number. And Jesus then took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated, so also the fish, as much as they wanted. And when they had eaten their fill, he told his disciples, "Gather up the leftover fragments, that nothing may be lost." So they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves, left by those who had eaten. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they said, "This is indeed the prophet who is to come into the world." It's one of the most famous miracles that Jesus performed, feeding the 5,000. I've heard lots of people speak on this passage, and it's a spectacular picture in your head, thinking about like 5,000 men, which would be like 20,000 people, as much as 20,000 people, all sitting in a big field and being fed from just 5 small barley loaves. One of the things that stands out to me, I guess the thing that stands out to me that made me want to share this today was just a contrast between Philip's response and Andrew's response to the challenge that Jesus lays out. So Jesus says to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread so that these people may eat?" And Philip answers, 200 denarii worth of bread would not be enough for each of them to get a little. Philip's response states what they lack, what they don't have enough for. Whereas Andrew comes and says, "We've got 5 loaves and 2 fish. Obviously not enough for 20,000 people to eat," but a completely different, almost an inverted approach to the problem that Jesus is asking them to solve, or to the need that there is that he sees in the crowd. Now, Jesus set Philip up to teach this point. He set this up as an opportunity to teach his disciples, to test how they would approach the need. So I don't think it's like, I think the temptation is to be like, oh, be less like Philip, be more like Andrew. But I actually think that it has more to do with the terms by which we define our resources. Do we have enough money to do that? Do we have enough people to do that? Do we have enough resources to do the thing that we see, to meet the need that we see? Rather than thinking about what we, contrast that with Andrew's approach, which is to say, well, here's what we do have that could make a dent in that need, or here's what we do have that could apply to that need, and letting God be the one, or Jesus and God in this case, be the one that multiplies it. Yeah, we've got Philip's response, which orients itself around the things that they lack. We've got Andrew's response, which orients itself around the things that they do have. And then we have Jesus' simple instruction to which they are obedient, sitting down on the grass in groups. The thing that this reminds me of is later in John chapter 20, verse 24 to 29. As I was reading this, these are the verses that popped into my head, and this is after Jesus has been resurrected. And it's Jesus talking to Thomas, where Thomas gets the unfortunate reputation as doubting Thomas. This is reading from verse 24. Now Thomas, one of the 12, called the twin, was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see in his hands the marks of the nails, and place my fingers into the mark of the nails, and place my hand into his side, I will never believe." 8 days later, his disciples were inside again, and Thomas was with them. Although the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and see my hands, and put your hand and place it in my side. Do not disbelieve, but believe." And Thomas answered him, "My Lord and my God." I think what Jesus is showing here is that we have a choice between adopting a posture of disbelief and adopting a posture of belief. And I think that Philip's response back in John 6, as Jesus is preparing to do this miracle, Philip's response originates from a position of disbelief. 200 denarii wouldn't be enough to do this. It's negatively framed. Whereas Andrew's response, we have these things, orients itself from a place of belief, a place of what if. I also think Andrew's response is important because it comes with a question. He asks Jesus, well, what are these for so many? Which gives Jesus an opportunity to respond with instruction. I think when we find ourselves looking at need, we see need all around, hungry people or lost people or hurting people, just whatever God moves your heart towards, whatever filter he puts on your heart so that you see a need in the world around you. There's a contrast here about how we approach that feeling, how we approach that sense or that observation of need, because especially these days, what I'm finding is that the needs feel overwhelming. It's not one hurting person, it's thousands of hurting people. It's not one hungry person, it's an epidemic of homelessness and hunger and need and addiction and all these things that seem at times insurmountable to solve, at least as insurmountable as it feels to need to feed 5,000 people in the middle of the wilderness. Jesus instructs us to choose belief over disbelief. And when we choose belief, we create the opportunity for him to do the thing that he does. When we truly live from the position, the perspective that God is the supply, not us, then it gives us permission to bring what little we have to the table and allow him to multiply it. If we come to the conversation with God only in the context of the things we lack, only in the context of the things we don't have, then we're not actually bringing anything for him to multiply. 5 small barley loaves, no matter how small and insignificant they may seem against the need of 20,000 hungry people, is something that God can multiply. He's not bound by money. He's not bound by the finite ability we have to connect or cooperate or work with one another. He is unbound by any of those things. He is far and away above, more capable than any of that. The day after this miracle, the day after feeding 20,000 people with bread from 5 loaves, Jesus is being questioned about who he is and what message he's trying to convey. And he says to the people, Jesus said to them, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst." It's one of his famous 7 I am statements. It's directly associated to the character of who God is. God is the supply. It's not me, it's not you, it's not your funders, it's not your bank account, it's not your following. God is the supply. So when you see a need that feels overwhelming to you, it's probably an indication that you are defining everything you could think of from a solution perspective or a service perspective. You're defining out of lack, not out of the infinite supply that we are connected to through God. Yeah, I think like the humility of it is a interesting angle too, where like five loaves and two fish. It is so little, but it's not as though 200,000 denarii is a lot. Like we look at it and say, oh, these little loaves it's 5 loaves and 2 fish. It's such a little amount. But God looks at all of our riches and says, that's such a little amount. He's God. He is the creator. He is the bread of life. So our reference point is so flawed to judge whether we have enough or not to do the things that God is calling us to do. We don't have enough. We absolutely need him. But he has already given, if he's given you the need, if he's given you the heart for the need, he's also given you the supply for the first steps. That I think is true. He doesn't give you the need and call for your obedience without giving you the supply that you require to make it work, make it possible. Whatever God has laid on your heart, the impossible things that he calls you to pursue, you need to ask yourself, what do I have? And once you take inventory of the things that you do have, then you ask God, what can you do with it? Be obedient to his instruction, and then watch as your resources multiply.